Hey folks, this is BestInSlot. Welcome to part 5 of 747, and yes, I'm going to make this joke every single time of our Jurassic World Evolution 2 Theories, Speculation and Analysis series. You didn't think you'd go a whole day without some Evolution 2 content, did you? That'd be crazy anyways. Today we're going to take a look at customizable buildings. I know that Evolution Squared has already done a video on this same topic. I haven't seen it quite yet. I like to come at things from my own perspective entirely, but I'll go check it out after this and see if our ideas align, and definitely you should go check out her video as well. So, the headline though, before I do anything else, just to tell you guys, customizable buildings are indeed in the game. We're talking both colour and formation / shape, building style, all that kind of jazz. Now, I think for a lot of us that seemed pretty obvious from the get-go. As soon as I saw this image right here, this initial screenshot, and I saw this swathe of pastel here, and these very flat sort of blocks of colour, to me that screamed colour customizing. It kind of looks a little bit like Planet Zoo does in a way, and you play that game a lot, you kind of learn to recognise this sort of thing. It is also worth noting that these buildings are substantially more simple, much less complex than the buildings we get in Jurassic World Evolution, the first game, and it doesn't really make any sense to go from complex buildings based on real-world buildings, like they were on the Main Street buildings, to these very relatively simple buildings in comparison. And the reason to make them less complex is to make them more customizable. But let's have a look at what buildings we have here. We have a cinema on the left-hand side. We have a bowling alley on the right. We already had a bowling alley, but the cinema is new. We have what I'm going to say is the new arcade on the right-hand side. It looks like a guy wearing a VR headset. It may be a virtual reality specific arcade kind of thing, but arcade is close enough. There's this thing. God knows what that is. It looks like a fish, sort of. And there's an A. Oh, and there's also this one here. Sorry, I forgot about that one. There's a gym, you can just about see that at the back. I think it's a gym, there's a running dude, and I don't know what else would have a running dude. I get the impression there is quite a lot of building options. I'm very curious as to how detailed this customization will go. We'll talk about that in just a second. But really, to prove this customization, to prove all these varied factors, we need to look at this screenshot right here. This is not the same Main Street. I've pointed this out before in my aviary video, the aviary down here, but this is not the same Main Street as the one we just looked at. It has a whole different suite of buildings, and it's placed in a different area, stuff like that. They just look very similar. And what we can do is we can zoom right in on Main Street, we can enhance. If this was CSI, it'd be like, all the music would be kicking in and all this nonsense science would be going on. And the first thing we can do is prove that the colours are indeed different across the same building. So we can take these ones right here with these 4 kind of struts jutting out the front and compare them to the one we had with the arcade in the last section, and you can see very clearly not only is the building itself a different colour, but the 1, 2, 3, 4 struts that come out in this exact shape, as you can see, jutting out the front of the building. They're brown in one image and they're purple in the other. They have had their colour changed. Now, I don't think we would get 2 buildings with the exact same feature, essentially, so I'm going to go ahead and say that this is proof of, at the very least, colour customization. But it goes a lot further than this. You can already tell these aren't the same building just by looking at them. There's a lot of differences here. The windows at the side, we can maybe write some things off as view distance though, so we should compare buildings from the same screenshot. These are of course from the first and second shot. But if we look at this image from this second screenshot, I've pulled 2 of the same building, and there are very clear differences. Whilst the basic formation is the shape, we've got that large opening there, we've got the struts here at the top, we've got the double windows at the side, you can see small differences popped around. And the one that really sticks out to me is here, there, and there. You can see that the logo at the front of the building is different on each different building, basically, and that also matches with here. We've got a little logo sticking out the side there and there, it's different, and the same down here. These sort of flag logo things at the base are different on each of them. Now that is largely it for these buildings. I think there might be a slight difference here at the back, but if it was just logos and colour switching, that might still be a bit disappointing. So let's take a deeper look. We're going to look at this other building here, and this one really does showcase the huge array of customization that we're going to have in the game. So the similarity between these buildings is mainly established with this block right here. That seems to be a stable. I get the feeling the buildings all have a very rudimentary base, and beyond there you're going to scale them and change them in multiple different ways. These 3 buildings all have this same base, this sort of double white stack, black door at the front, looking opening kind of thing. No idea what the building is. but they've all got that same basal object right at the front, so I'm assuming the entrance remains largely the same. You can maybe colour customise it, but the shape and the formation is going to be the same. Now, not only do we have different logos on the front of all of these, as you can see, but we even have different decorations. The Spinosaurus skull has returned, but it isn't there, and it is there, which is good. It's good that it shows up in 2 of them. This one doesn't have these little side partings with little plant life. We'll talk about that in just a second. We've got, I mean, the whole shape of the building. I mean, look at this back part here and this back part here. It's the same for these 2, but this one on the right is entirely different. And it's not like these 2 are identical either. The roof there is a completely different colour. This one's got like a little parasol there. This one doesn't. There's just tons of little things going on that make these buildings look entirely different from one another. This one's got some plant life on there as well. This one's got like a little fence area there at the top. This one's got a completely different fence area. The point is they're very clearly very different buildings. They've got the same foundation, and I think they are probably the same shop, the same whatever it is meant to be. But through this customization feature, they look entirely different. Now, they're still on the simple side, to say the least. They're never going to look, I think, as pre-built and as custom-made and as lovingly handcrafted as the buildings from Jurassic World Evolution 1, but what we're trading for that is heavily increased customization, and that's a really big deal. Evolution 1 had this problem where everyone's park looked the same because we didn't have any control over our colour customization, over our building customization, so everyone's main street kind of ended up looking the same by the end. Now, even if the buildings are a bit simpler, being able to have this vastly increased customization is going to mean that's no longer a problem. And I am optimistic that I don't think this building is going to be entirely modular, but I feel like it might have a modular factor to it. So I'm going to try to explain what I think is going to happen here. I think you get this. I think you're probably given a default shape, and it probably includes like the backdrop here. So let's say, right, we're going to draw this. Okay, you've got your building. This is, by my standards, this is pretty good. Right, that's your basic building, right? That's what you get by default. It's that kind of shape, and then that, so it juts out like that, something like that. What I imagine is, so you place this building down, it's something, it's a, let's say it's a taffy shop. I've never had taffy before, but I've heard much about saltwater taffy that I want to include it. So you've got your saltwater taffy shop, and if I had to wager a guess, on a basic level, this is going to be something like Planet Zoo with its exhibits, or even Frontiers Zoo Tycoon Cough 3 Cough, where you could toggle and choose different layouts and customizations. So in Planet Zoo, you have your glass box, and you have like a tick box area over here, and you can tick, and you can tick, and that'll add logs and trees and stuff like that. For this one, I think it'll be the same, but you'll tick for different building layouts and formations. But beyond that, the fact that these two are very similar in layout, but that has a completely different colour than that, makes me think it's going to be a very intricate system, where maybe you can tick onto a section and then control the colours of that individual section. Maybe it's more modular than we think. I mean, the presence of the parasol here, but not here, despite this section being very similar, is interesting. The presence of these skulls and different plant life. You can see this one's got plants, this one's got skulls, this one's got something else over there. This one's got plants here at the back and plants up here at the top. I'm kind of leaning in the direction that there is a modular element to this building system, so I think the actual foundation of the buildings will be more toggle options and choosing things. I don't think you're going to go in and individually build this entire shape. Maybe you'll be able to jam blocks together, but I doubt it. I think it will be a toggle, personally. But it does seem, given the variety at least, that there might be some extent of modular placing of items, which would be a really nice balance between Jurassic World Evolution's relative simplicity, which is good for some people, but also Planet Zoo's increased complexity and creative control. Being able to put down individual plants, parasols, statues, flags on the paths and benches and stuff on the paths, hopefully, would be a really big deal. If we shift over to this image instead, you can again see the same kind of thing in motion. We've got this little plant backdrop here, we've got some plant life there. This area here has got this at the back. It's just little small different... Wait, there was a good reason I highlighted this image and I can't remember what it was anymore. You know, this one's got this doorway with something... I mean, these are very similar in shape. This one's got this doorway with something hanging up over there. This one doesn't have that. They are just little key differences that makes me think we'll be able to put things down. Now, clearly things like this logo here and here, all of the logos appear to always be in about the same place. You can see it there and there and there. They're always roughly there, so I think those will be, again, like a drop-down menu. You know, you put the logo on the front, and then you choose what the logo is. And hopefully we get a good variety, though, because what that would mean is, yeah, okay, you can have a saltwater taffy shop, but if you want to sell hamburgers, or fried guinea pig, or lemons, you know, you can do all of that. You'd have that choice. Even further, if we could customize it ourselves somehow, but I suspect they'll just put in a whole bunch of options. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I think this is 100% guaranteed. We don't know the intricacies of how it's going to work, but there are so many fundamental differences in the building shape that we know that's customizable to an extent. The colours are certainly customizable. The last little niggle is how modular this system is. How much can we individually control where plants go, where signs go, where parasols go, where all of that stuff goes. The point is, it's clearly in the game. Also, I want to bring this up very quickly. I've actually only just spotted it. The red fence is here, as you can see. Now, I've speculated in the past as to what this fence could be, and I was hoping it was a colour customization thing. I thought that was a cool idea. That doesn't seem to be the case. Some of you in the comment section for the last video suggested, reminded me actually, in the novel, they used red to stop the Triceratops charging. There's like a red stripe on one of the surface vehicles, and I think this could be the same thing. I think this is probably a fence that you unlock further into the game, like a red banded fence that would stop your herbivores specifically. I mean, it might be a Triceratops thing, but it seems unlikely. But I think the red banded fence will be used to stop your herbivores trying to break out. Evolution always had a problem wherein your weak little herbivores would, you know, as Struthiomimus would bash its head against a concrete wall and eventually break out. And things like the hadrosaurs in particular were really frustrating because they had high social needs that you couldn't even match in one trip to the hatchery. So a anti-herbivore, or just an anti-bash in general, it might be for carnivores and herbivores. And obviously some carnivores are still going to break out, but maybe it makes them less likely to do so. It's just a cool little idea anyway. I'm very excited to see how it works out in reality, but I think that's probably what it is. So shout out to you folks at home, proving that I do indeed listen for some reason. Anyways, that's all I have for customizable buildings. This is a toilet, by the way. I'm really excited to see this system in action. I still think we're going to get gameplay probably in a couple of months still, in August at Gamescom Frontier. I love Gamescom. Until then, hopefully we find out a little bit more about the new features, and of course we have the species field guides to look forward to in the meantime. As I said last time, those were appearing on Fridays in the past, so I'll be very excited for this Friday. But, you know, that's not set in stone. The schedule could have entirely changed, so don't get your hopes up too much until you see it pop up online. I'm really excited about this. Yeah. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Are you excited about this feature? Is this something you would take advantage of in your park builds? As per usual, if you do have any suggestions, any theories or speculation you'd like to see me cover in these videos, do not hesitate to let me know in the comment section down below. Hit me a like, that's not a sentence, throw me a like if you enjoyed this video. I'll see you lovely folks next time. Cheers, much love as always. Bye-bye.
Reaching out.